Hello students, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to study the unit 2 of AI, that is advanced concepts of modeling in AI. So what we study in this, that is AI, ML and DL. AI क्या है? तो जैसा कि आप लोग सब जान रहे हैं, AI क्या है? AI एक एबिलिटी है मशीन की टू इमिटेट ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस। तो ये सबसे बड़ा सेट जो है आपका, दिस इज एआई। और एमएल उसका सबसेट है, और एमएल का भी सबसेट जो है वो है डीप लर्निंग, जो ये सबसे छोटा सर्कल है। ठीक है, तो एआई, एमएल एंड डीएल। एमएल क्या है? एमएल इज अ सबसेट ऑफ एआई, algorithm that enable machines to learn from data and make decisions, that is ML. ML AI का सबसेट है, वो एल्गोरिथम जो मशीन्स को इनेबल करते हैं टू लर्न फ्रॉम डेटा एंड मेक डिसीजंस, दैट इज ML. ओके, देन DL is a subset of ML. Algorithms inspired by the structure of a human brain is DL. And this is based on artificial neural network. So DL is a subset of ML. So algorithms that are inspired by the structure of a human brain is DL. ठीक है, then next है machine learning. What is machine learning? Machine learning क्या है? तो machine learning enables machine to improve at task with experience. The machine learns from its mistakes and takes them into consideration in the next execution. It improvises itself using its own experiences. अपने खुद के experiences से मशीन सीखती है। तो ये enable करता है machine learning machines को to improve at task with experience. जैसे कि आपकी कोई mistake हुई तो next time पे आपने उस mistake को ठीक कर लिया। ठीक है, सो दिस इज जस्ट अ ब्रॉड रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ हाउ अ मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल लुक। इनपुट इज गिवन टू द एमएल मॉडल। ये हमारे पास जो एक ब्लॉक डायग्राम बना हुआ है, एक डायग्राम है, इसमें है डेटा इज गिवन टू द मशीन। सो ट्रेनिंग द मशीन, वी आर फर्स्ट ट्रेनिंग द मशीन, देन वी आर बिल्डिंग द मॉडल एंड देन प्रिडिक्टिंग द आउटपुट. So input is given to the ML model and the model generates output by learning from the input data. Input data से learn करके हमको output predict हो रहा है. Okay? So this is how machine learning works. The input is given here. The training of the machine is done, then building the model and then predicting the output. Okay, so this is the ML. Next example. So here we are having an example of machine learning. हमारे पास कुछ लेबल्ड इमेजेस दी हुई हैं, एप्पल की, ऑरेंज, एप्पल, ऑरेंज. So we are having a tagged image or the labeled image of the apple and the oranges which are given as input to the ML model, जो ML model को input की गई हैं through training. So ML model learns from the input data. ML model input data से learn करेगा to classify between apple and oranges. Apple and oranges को classify करेगा, कौन सा apple है, कौन सा orange है, और predict करेगा correct outputs as shown. ये जब हमने टेस्ट डेटा दिया, पहले इस पर्टिकुलर मॉडल ने इस डेटा, टैग्ड डेटा या लेबल डेटा से लर्न कर लिया कि कौन सा एप्पल है, कौन सा ऑरेंज है. फिर उसके बाद जब टेस्ट डेटा हमने दिया, तो टेस्ट डेटा देने के बाद हमारे पास एप्पल और ऑरेंज उसने करेक्टली प्रेडिक्ट कर दिया. ओके, सो दिस इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल. मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल का हमारा ये एग्जाम्पल है. यहाँ पे हमने एप्पल, ऑरेंज, एप्पल, इनका एक लेबल डेटा सेट प्रोवाइड किया है, और वो लेबल डेटा सेट से आपका मॉडल ट्रेन किया गया है. देन आफ्टर ट्रेनिंग जब हम टेस्ट डेटा दे रहे हैं एप्पल और ऑरेंज, तो उसने करेक्टली प्रेडिक्ट किया है कि एप्पल कौन सा है और ऑरेंज कौन सा है. ठीक है, Next is example of machine learning. So there are two examples of machine learning: object classification and anomaly detection. ऑब्जेक्ट क्लासिफिकेशन आइडेंटिफाई करता है, लेबल करता है ऑब्जेक्ट को प्रेजेंट विद इन एन इमेज और डेटा पॉइंट. इट डिटरमाइंस द कैटेगरी एन ऑब्जेक्ट बिलोंग्स टू. जैसे यहाँ पे हमारे पास देयर आर सर्टेन क्लोथ्स, तो हम उन क्लोथ्स को आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं कि वो क्या है, वेदर दे आर शर्ट, पैंट, ट्राउजर, टी शर्ट, what are they? So they are classified into their correct category. Then anomaly detection. Anomaly detection help us find the unexpected things hiding in our data. हमारे डेटा में कौन सी unexpected thing है जो hidden है, that is anomaly detection. For example, tracking your heart rate and finding a sudden spike could be an anomaly, flagging a potential issue. सपोज आपका जो डेटा है, आपका जो हार्ट रेट है वो ट्रैक किया जा रहा है और एक सडन स्पाइक आया हार्ट रेट में, तो वो एक एनॉमली होगी. तो वो एक पोटेंशियल इशू है जिसको हम रेज कर सकते हैं कि ये क्या पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम की वजह से ये सडन स्पाइक आया है हार्ट रेट में. ओके, देन नेक्स्ट इज डीप लर्निंग. व्हाट इज डीप लर्निंग? डीप लर्निंग enables सॉफ्टवेयर टू ट्रेन itself to perform tasks with vast amount of data. In deep learning, the machine is trained with huge amounts of data, which helps it into training itself around the data. Such machines are intelligent enough to develop algorithms for themselves. Okay, so deep learning is the most advanced form of artificial intelligence out of these three. That is ML, AI and deep learning. So following is the block diagram of deep learning. So input is given to ANN, and after processing, this is artificial neural network. After processing, the output is generated by the DL block. And here is an example which shows the pixel of a bird image given as input to the DL model, and the model is able to analyze and correctly predict that it is a bird using a deep learning algorithm. Okay, so what are the examples of deep learning? It is used in object identification and digit recognition. So object identification, the object classification is a deep learning task that tackles the task of identifying and labeling objects within an image. It essentially uses powerful algorithms to figure out what's in a picture and categorize those things. Okay, then digit recognition. Digit recognition in deep learning tackles the challenge of training computers to identify handwritten digits 0 to 9 within images. Suppose we are having digits from 0 to 9, and the challenge of the computer is to identify handwritten image. We have written 6 like this, we have written 6 like this. So these are two different images, but the task is, the challenge is that this is 6, we have to identify it correctly. So that is done with the digit recognition. So next is the common terminologies used with data. Data के लिए क्या क्या common terminologies हैं? So data क्या है? Data is information in any form. A table with information about fruits is data. Suppose we are having a table which contains the various types of fruits: apple, orange, banana, grapes, and the color is red, orange, yellow, purple, and the price is given. So each row will contain information about different fruits. Suppose we are talking about the first row. This will contain the information about apple. We are talking about this row. This will contain the information about banana. So these are the information about the different fruits. So each row will contain the information. Each fruit is described by certain features. So these are the features of the fruit: name of the fruit, color of the fruit, and price of the fruit. Okay, so this is data. Next is what do you mean by features? What are features? So columns of the table are called features. In the fruit data sets, feature may be name of the fruit, color of the fruit, and the price of the fruit. These are the features of the data. Okay, columns of the table are called features such as name, Name is apple, orange, banana, grape. Color is red, orange, yellow, purple. And price is $1.8, $2, like this. Okay. Some features are special. They are called labels. Some features are called labels. Okay. So what are labels? So data labeling is the process of attaching meaning to data. If you are giving the meaning to the data, then it is data labeling. It depends on the context of the problem we are trying to solve. Suppose if we are trying to predict what fruit it is based on the color of the fruit, then color is the feature and fruit name is the label. So fruit name is the label of the fruit. Data can be of two types, labeled and unlabeled. Okay. So when we have done the labeling, then it is the labeled data type. Okay. So what is a labeled data? Data to which some tag or label is attached. For example, name, type, number, etc. Unlabeled, the raw form of data. Data to which no tag is attached. That is unlabeled data. This is labeled data. Dog. Here we have name the data. Label the data. Dog, cat, dog, cat. Unlabeled data. Unlabeled data means that is here the label is not attached. That is unlabeled. Okay, what do you mean by a training data set? The training data set is a collection of examples given to the model to analyze and learn. So it is a collection of examples given to the model to analyze and learn. Suppose we have to train by the dog cat example. So we will give that collection of dog and cat to the model to analyze and learn. Just like how a teacher teaches a topic to the class through a lot of examples and illustrations. Similarly, a set of labeled data is used to train the AI model. What do you mean by testing data set? The testing data set is used to test the accuracy of the model. Just like how a teacher takes a class test related to the topic to evaluate the misunderstanding of the students. So that is a test set. Training set and test set. Training set is a collection of examples given to the model to analyze and learn. And test set is a testing data set is used to test the accuracy of the model. Okay. So the labeled data is used to train the AI model. So test is performed without labeled data and then verify results with the label. Okay. So next is modeling. What is modeling? AI modeling refers to developing algorithms, also called models, which can be trained to get intelligent outputs. That is, writing codes to make a machine artificially intelligent. So AI model are of two types, learning based and rule based. And if we talk about the learning based, then we are having learning based machine learning and deep learning. So in machine learning, we are having supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. In deep learning, we are having artificial neural network and convolutional neural network. Okay. So what is rule-based approach? Rule-based approach refers to the AI modeling where the relationship or patterns in data are defined by the developer. The machine follows the rules or instructions mentioned by the developer and perform its task accordingly. Rule-based chatbots are commonly used on websites to answer frequently asked questions or provide basic customer support. So there are certain rules which are given to the machine and the machine follows the rules or instruction mentioned by the developer. That is a rule-based approach. Then learning-based approach. A learning-based approach is a method where a computer learns how to do something by looking at examples or getting feedback. Similar to how we learn from experience. Instead of being explicitly programmed for a task, the computer learns to perform it by analyzing it and finding patterns or rules on its own. Okay, so that is data and answers and the rules. Okay, that is a machine learning approach. It will have data and answers and it will form the rules. Okay. So computer learns to perform it by analyzing data and finding patterns or rules on its own. Learning based approach example. For example, suppose you have a data set of 1,000 images of random stray dogs of your area. Okay. Now you do not have any clue as to what trend is being followed in this data set as you don't know their breed, color or any other feature. Thus you would put this into a learning approach based AI machine, and machine would come up with various pattern it has observed in the feature of these 1,000 images. It might cluster the data on the basis of color, size, fur style, etc. It might also come up with some very unusual clustering algorithm which you might not have even thought of. Okay, so this is how the learning based approach works. Then what are the categories of machine learning based models? The learning based approaches are indeed a broad category that encompasses both machine learning and deep learning. Okay, machine learning can further be divided into three parts, that is supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement. What is supervised? Teacher is teaching. What is unsupervised? You are finding the patterns. And what is a reinforcement? You are having the state and action, and there is an environment. Okay, so what is supervised learning? In supervised learning, the data set which is fed to the machine is labeled. In other words, we can say that the data set is known. Data set is known to the person who is training the machine. Only then he or she is able to label the data. A label is some information which can be used as a tag for data. For example, students get grades according to the marks they secure in examination. These grades are labels which categorize the students according to their marks. So supervised learning indicates having a supervisor as a teacher. For example, a math teacher teaches the class by making the students learn using a lot of solved examples and then test the knowledge gained by giving the class problems to solve on their own. Similarly, supervised learning is when you make the machine learn by teaching or training the machine using labeled data. Supervised learning example, let us consider the example of currency coins. Problem statement, build a model to predict the coin based on its weight. Assume that we have different currency coins having different weights. 1 euro weighs 5 grams. 1 dirham weighs 7 grams. $1 weighs 3 grams. 1 rupee weighs 4 grams, and so on. So what are the feature? Feature is weights. And what is the label? Label is the currency. So when you give 3 gram here, the model will give you $1. Okay. So the weight is 3 gram. Then the model will have to give what it is. It is $1. Okay. If suppose you are giving 5 grams here, you are giving 5 grams. So it will give 1 euro. Okay. So that's it. That is how it works. Example, if a model is trained in tagging the feature, that is the weights of the coin with the targets, that is the currency, the trained model can be further be used to identify a coin based on its weight because it has already learned. In the example shown in the figure, the model has learned from labeled input data, dog and cat, and produces output to classify them as dog and cats. So model learns from the training data and then applies the same knowledge to the test data. Then unsupervised learning. What is unsupervised learning? An unsupervised learning model works on unlabeled data set. This means that the data which is fed to the machine is random, and there is a possibility that the person who is training the model does not have any information regarding it. The unsupervised learning models are used to identify relationships, patterns and trends out of the data which is fed into it. It helps the user in understanding what the data is about and what are the major features identified by the machine in it. So unsupervised learning is a type of learning without any guidance. For example, a child learning to swim on its own without any supervision. Here the child is the model trying to discover ways and techniques to swim, and the swimming pool is similar to the unknown data fed to the model. Here the machine is responsible to discover patterns, similarities and differences on its own based on the unlabeled data set. Unsupervised learning. Let us consider the example of a supermarket. Assume that we have a customer database with records of their products bought over a period. Now you, being the marketing manager, decides to send a grocery offer message to those customers who buys grocery regularly. Note that there was no customer labeled as grocery shoppers and non-grocery shoppers. Model could discover the pattern on its own and could come up with these two cluster groups: grocery shopper, non-grocery shopper. Okay, so this is how unsupervised machine learning works. Then in the example shown in the image, the model has to process information without any labels. It has to analyze and process the data to identify hidden patterns and attributes, and then uses that to classify the animals into two categories based on similarity. As you observe in the image, input is not labeled, but the model can come up with two clusters by identifying similar pattern and attributes and have grouped them together. All cats have been grouped into cluster 1 and all dogs have been grouped into cluster 2. We are having two clusters here. We are having two cluster 1 and cluster 2. Dog have been grouped in this cluster and all cats have been grouped in this cluster. Now we have to identify the model whether it is supervised or unsupervised. Case 1. Social media platforms identify your friend in a picture from an album of tagged photograph. So here we are having a tagged data, that means labeled data. So it is supervised learning. Here social media platform is using tagged photos to recognize the person. Therefore, the tagged photos become the labels of the picture, and we know that when the machine is learning from labeled data, it is supervised. Then supervised or unsupervised. Case 2. OTT platform recommendation based on someone's watch history. It is unsupervised. This is what OTT platform like Netflix, Pandora and Spotify doing. They collect the songs, movies that you like already, evaluate the feature based on your likes, dislikes, and then recommend new movies and songs based on similar features. So this is unsupervised. Case 3. Analyze the bank data for suspicious looking transaction and flag the fraud transactions. So note that the suspicious transactions are not defined in this case. So it is unsupervised again. The suspicious transactions are not defined, hence there are no labels of fraud and not fraud. The model tries to identify outliers by looking at anomalous transaction and flags them as fraud. So what is the difference between supervised and unsupervised learning? Supervised deals with labeled data, supervised learning deals with labeled data, and unsupervised learning deals with unlabeled data. Supervised learning is useful in real-world problems like predicting the prices of an item, something based on past trends, and unsupervised is useful in finding the unknown patterns within data, like making sense of a large number of observations from an experimental device. So, next point, computing power required is simpler as clean labeled data is used as input. In supervised learning, computing power is simpler, and in unsupervised, the computing power required is more complex as unsorted and messy data is used as input. Okay, next. Reinforcement learning. The third type of learning is reinforcement learning. This learning approach enables the computer to make a series of decisions that maximize a reward metric for the task without human intervention and without being explicitly programmed to achieve the task. So what is reinforcement learning? It is a type of learning in which a machine learns to perform a task through a repeated trial and error method. Let's say you provide an image of an apple to the machine and ask the machine to predict it. The machine first predicts it as a cherry and you give negative feedback that it's incorrect. Now the machine learns that it is not a cherry. So this is a reinforcement model. And next step, then again you ask the machine to predict the fruit by giving an image of an apple as input. Now it knows it is not a cherry. It predicts it as an apple and give you positive feedback that it is correct. So now the machine learns that it is an apple. So what makes it different? For supervised and unsupervised learning, you need to have a pretty good idea of the data that you have, what's going on and how to solve the problem. However, you will frequently encounter situations where you have to deal with large complex problem spaces. So you may need to respond to unforeseen environment and you don't have sufficient data on those specific scenarios. So the environment may change. Hence your system needs to be adaptive. So reinforcement learning will be important because it does not require a lot of pre-existing knowledge or data to provide to useful solutions. What are the examples of reinforcement learning? AI learns to parking a car, and DeepMind AI learning to how to walk, humanoid walking. So these are examples. Summary of last, we are having the summary of ML models. The ML models have been classified into supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement. Determine the relationship through training. Discover the patterns, unsupervised learning, new patterns. Learn by rewarding the actions. So this is all about the modeling techniques in AI. So that's all for this part. This is part 1. We will discuss next in the part 2. So thank you for watching and please do like, subscribe our channel and video. Thank you.